Well, I'm starting to think that either the prosecution never had any evidence at all, or that they are purposely just being weak. Now, we all know James Comey's daughter is related to this prosecution. So I wonder if perhaps this is all just show. We are now into the third day, and I've seen nothing. I mean, there's more than a 75% chance in my head right now that he's walking on this, because they've proven no other crimes, and people keep telling me I'm supposed to wait. They say you should wait, Jeremy. They're just building the case. They're just building the case. Wait. Well, okay. I assume that's going to start tomorrow, or the next day, They said the whole trial is only going to be about 2 weeks long. So, I mean, I don't know what they expected, or how much time they have left to really show this case. Now, to be fair, they could just be painting him as, a bad guy, and that's mostly what they're concerned with, is just painting him as a bad guy, and certainly putting a very pregnant woman up there on the stand to say that he was mean to her and doing all sorts of other stuff is probably an effective way to do that. But I'm wondering when they're going to get to anything actually actionable. All we've seen right now so far is that he hired hookers. That's all I've seen so far. And these, quote unquote freak offs that basically were sold to us as, all these people in Hollywood were supposed to be taking part in them. There's been not one single shred of evidence brought to by the state that would indicate that. I'm starting to think that maybe if they did participate in these things, maybe the state just wanted to get those tapes and get the evidence, and they weren't ever really interested about prosecuting him. That's what it's seeming like to me, because this is crazy. Here are the texts. The blue sections are actually Cassie referring or replying to Diddy. Okay. Diddy says, "I miss you already." She says, "Me too." Then he says, "When do you want to do a freak off? LOL." She replies, "LOL. I'm just going up to change. I'm always ready to freak off. LOL. You tell me the day you choose," he said. She said, "It can be whenever." He says, "Name the night." Then it says, "Name the night." You've sent it twice, apparently. She says, "I feel like the weekend. A Friday would be the best, so we'd want time to recover for the work week. This upcoming weekend is the only one I have until the 28th. So this woman, very clearly fine to schedule it, very clearly enthusiastic about going to it. Now she went up on stage and has said, like, up on the stand, she's like, "Oh, he forced me to do it." This doesn't read like somebody who's been forced to be there. Diddy says, "Okay, I'm on it." She replies, "If my cow move, LOL, but we can always do it during the week. That doesn't matter to me." She's being extremely flexible. He says, "Friday is. I wish we could get Jules here." She said, "LOL, maybe we could. We don't know him that well. Want to call him and feel him out?" And she said, "I can do that." She's literally setting it all up. Now, sure, if you want to make the case for saying, like, she was under his spell or she was whatever, okay, that's a tough case to make in court. Maybe I believe you, Then we have this, a new claim that Diddy was caught dry thrusting a Kardashian at the Met Gala. This was brought up on his trial. Megyn Kelly claims she saw Combs, 55, getting intimate with the mystery reality star in a bathroom. Speaking with Nev and Maureen Callahan, Megyn Kelly recounted the alleged incident, saying that, "I went to the Met Gala. I went 2 years, Maureen. The thing is, I remember P. Diddy in the restaurant. In the restaurant. Wait, I just remember P. Diddy. Sorry, I lost my spot. In the restroom. I was closing up the women's restroom. That's why I was there, dry humping a Kardashian. There were multiple Kardashians in there, and like some other lame supermodel, not the supermodels we grew up with, those lame influencer types. They were all there. No one was actually even using the bathroom. They were just smoking and dry humping. And that was P. Diddy. Okay. Again, degenerate? Yes. Gross? Yes. Illegal? No. We were told that, Ellen DeGeneres and all, Justin Bieber and all this stuff. I mean, unless this stuff is coming down the pipeline, what are they exactly going to be prosecuting him for? Hiring a couple of hookers? Is that all they have? Is that all they have right now? Now, his girlfriend said she felt like she couldn't refuse doing these freak offs. Well, those text messages certainly didn't seem like she didn't feel she could refuse them. They read like she was enthusiastic and she wanted to schedule them. And she was, willingly and excitedly picking the day to have one. But again, all they have is this intercontinental hotel footage of him hitting her. And that's it. That's all we've seen. Now, there's some stuff going around on the internet. Hakeem Jeffries implicated in the Diddy trial. According to testimony, Jeffries was a reoccurring guest of honor at the covert Communist Party freak-offs themed around exaggerated communist nostalgia. Sources familiar with the investigation say the parties began their theatrical controversial acts, included staging a flag-burning performances meant to lampoon Cold War hysteria. Diddy claimed Jeffries often insisted on the presence of young Hispanic male performers costumed as flamboyant versions of Fidel Castro. Is this... I mean, this seems very, very unlikely. Like, it says source Newsmax. I mean, I'm going to need more information on that before I'm going to be going and allowing, I'm going to say, we're going to need mega receipts there. There's also been a connection to Britney Spears. Britney Spears dragged into the Diddy trial as Cassie testifies about party where it all began. Apparently, superstar Britney Spears was dragged into Cassie's testimony Thursday as she spoke about her 21st birthday party, saying that Diddy brought several actors to celebrate her before their platonic relationship turned romantic. In humiliating detail, she recounted a turbulent relationship with Combs, including directing her encounters with male pros, right down to the, bathtubs full of baby oil. Again, so you said Britney Spears' name. Okay, Britney Spears is clearly mentally deranged these days. If something happened at these parties, certainly that might be an explanation for that. Now, they're saying Cassie's going to be on the stand for a third day now. They're literally just pushing the fact that, Diddy and her had this this relationship that was degenerate. Okay, I agree. But what is going on here? Do they actually have, when are they going to talk about the racketeering? When are they going to talk about anything he's actually charged for? Diddy looks relaxed as his lawyer grills Cassie. Combs appears relaxed at the defense table, sitting back in his chair with his hands folded before him and his legs crossed. He's been allowed to wear his own clothes to the trial. However, he has to rotate between just 5 looks. I mean, I'd be feeling pretty relaxed if I were him too. Other than the fact that, okay, Diddy was, addicted to opioids. Okay, so what about the trafficking? What about the racketeering? What about the RICO case? What about any of that? Literally any of it. Now, of course, Diddy has been accused of doing something terrible to another woman who described his body part as a Tootsie Roll, which I don't know why that's relevant. It's kind of funny. The woman identified as yet another Jane Doe. Again, I'm over all these Jane Does. There's 75 of them at this point. I'm not even exaggerating. A lot of people saying that they had encounters with him. A lot of people saying it was non-consensual. And then only going on to say, oh, well, it actually was. There was somebody in one case that said it was non-consensual and then said that they went back and then it was consensual and had another go at it with him. So how many of these people I mean, I think the prosecution is doing a terrible job. If he does get convicted, of what? Being a jerk or being a creep? That's not against the law. You know, the domestic stuff, sure. Okay, but are you going to retroactively charge him for that? I don't get it. Now, his lawyer seemed to try and dispel any claims that Diddy had laced baby oil with GHB. During the questions, Cassie said that she was the one who picked up the baby oil from the drugstore for the freak-offs, and the only thing she did to the baby oil was heat it up, apparently refuting any rumors that there were any drugs at all in them. You testified that you would get Johnson & Johnson baby oil from the drugstore, Estevo asked. You testified yesterday that you heat it up. Was there any kind of dosing in that? No. So that's been dispelled. So there's no dosing the baby oil. There's no, okay, so he was aggressive. He was a controlling boyfriend. He put his hands on her. Okay, if that's what you're going to charge him for, I support that. Diddy and Cass used to call each other get high partners. Okay. And this all seems to me that maybe she was willing to take the abuse for clout. I'm not excusing him of his behavior. These other 70 or 80 cases that seem to be heating up against him, okay, maybe. Not one criminal charge, all but just people that want money. Not a single criminal charge. Is this the tip of the iceberg? Well, I sure hope so. Because right now, I'm not seeing a whole lot of anything. Hit with a new lawsuit saying his junk is like a Tootsie Roll. Okay, fine, but there's no criminal charges. The whole thing seems... I think the prosecution is either botching this on purpose or they never had the evidence that they said they would. At least that's on day 4 now of the trial. I keep getting told to wait for more. Well, they better get after it here. Otherwise, I'm going to turn into, I'm going to definitely be questioning the motives of the attorney in this case, the state, because it looks, as of right now, on very shaky ground. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below, and we'll talk to you again real soon.